Alright, so 2 nights ago I unfortunately relapsed for the NoFap. I had gone 69 days. I thought I would talk about that 69-day streak here. This time around I hope to do a whole lot longer than that. I began the journey, well actually it was my resolution for 2022. I had some problems in 2021 and earlier where urges to masturbate would come at the wrong time for me, get in the way of me doing other things. So for example, I would have things that I need to sort out with work, or at a meeting at work, at a social event, or needing to focus on something else, and the urge to masturbate would be all consuming. Other times I would not get anything done at all because I would masturbate. I used to be really good at masturbating. I could masturbate and then 10 minutes later have another urge to masturbate again. And it wasn't causing any sort of physical harm. I don't think I had any physical problems to it, but it definitely caused a lot of mental problems, and it caused a lot of social problems in between me and other people. And which is what made it even more upsetting. Had it caused physical problems, I would have done something about it and be much more motivated to do something about it. See, a lot of people think that they wish they could eat what they want and not get fat. I actually disagree with that. I think that would just cause a lot more harm, because you could eat it until something else goes wrong, right? Until you lose a job because of a food craving at the wrong time, until it starts to cost you a fortune like it would this year, right? This year, the people who have to eat a lot to not gain weight really have it out for them, right? Although I read somewhere that the reason some people can seem to eat a lot without gaining weight is because they fidget a lot. So probably have to watch that fidgeting this year because of the expense, right? But get this squarely in your head. Being able to physically get away with eating a lot, with not exercising, with masturbating a lot, with anything, any sin, right? Being able to smoke and live to be 120, right? Get that in your mind. That's not a blessing, right? That's a crutch. And anyway, so I made a resolution in 2022 to quit masturbating. And like all resolutions, I had a lot of drive in January, but that quickly wore off. I remember it was Valentine's Day, and I had gone like a week or so without masturbating, and I remember thinking, wow, this is actual romance now, and but that didn't last. Now, unfortunately, this year hasn't been very nice to me. I talked about in my last video how I got treated at 2 jobs that I had in Seattle, and I really wanted to assert myself. I was losing a lot of weight in 2020, 2021 as it was already, because I was beginning to take control of my eating disorder. I used to have binge eating kind of problems, and my weight loss actually gave my mom a little bit of concern. Not that I was losing a terrible amount of weight, but she's a motherly figure. Part of the reason I have trouble going home is that I know my mom will feed me way too much. I don't want to argue with her, so I'm trying to wait until she's kind of too old to be even thinking about cooking for me. I also have a brother, he's 22 years old, so eventually when I go home, all the attention's probably going to be toward him, and that will also work. Not to mention I'll just be a whole lot more assertive. I can't imagine when I'm 50 years old that my mom will still want to cook for me. Anyway, so I thought if I lost a lot, even more weight rapidly, it could give some attention to my family and also to my coworkers, my boss, to listen to my concerns. Because I had a boss who never listened. I couldn't get 2 sentences out the door. And I thought if I lost a lot of weight, we could have that sit-down conversation. Oh my God, you're losing a lot of weight. What's going on? I didn't realize here in the United States, it's not very politically correct to be concerned for somebody. Even if somebody's dying of COVID-19 in front of you, or killing themselves with massive weight loss like that. I thought it would get the conversation rolling. That's what I wanted to do. Because I had never talked to my boss in a personal way. It was always about when do I come to work, maybe a performance review. It was never how was your holiday, how are you feeling. I never had that conversation with I really wanted to get that conversation rolling, and unfortunately I left that job without much of it rolling. But I went on what I called a hunger strike, hoping to lose a lot of weight. I was hoping to drive myself to the edge of death before I started eating again. That was that was what I was shooting for. But in the effort to cut back on everything that I was eating, I ended up masturbating a lot. Well, not a lot, but I started masturbating again. And again, when I was masturbating, it made it even harder to talk to people because I'd be at the end of the workday, all I could think about was, oh my God, what is this going to let out so I can go masturbate? Sometimes I was working at a tutoring center, and my boss had remarked about my leaving a mess at the center one day. I know what happened. I was in a hurry to get out of there to masturbate. I remember I had one kid who was just really talkative. His mom was a little bit late coming into the center, and he just went on and on and on and on. I wonder, can you get out of here so I can masturbate? That's what I was thinking to myself, and it probably didn't reflect well with how I was working with him either, and it also probably didn't reflect well with how I closed up the center. I get out of there to masturbate, and one day I completely lose it, and I faked having COVID-19. My boss had called me really early on a Saturday morning. It was 8:30 after I had been up all night because I didn't expect to work that morning, and he wants me to come in at 10. And I put my head at the edge of, I drive a Kia Forte, and I laid down on the back seat, and I put my head just out the edge of the seat. I'd love to, but I don't feel right, and I got to take a COVID-19 test. I ran out of the test. And he texts me all morning asking me if I got a hold of the test. And he's very good at pressuring me. I went out I had the test, so I took it and I showed him. I took a picture of the negative result, showed him, and I went off to the office. And it was that day that I really felt I really should open up and explain that I'd like to see this lunar eclipse that that was what I was concerned about, and also there were some other issues. I'd like to know if we can coagulate some of the schedule together. I'm getting 2 hours here, 1 hour here, and I had just put $75 worth of gas in my car. And I'd like to see if we could put some of these shifts together because otherwise it's really not going to be very worthwhile. Part of the reason I had so much trouble saying that was because, first of all, I was always getting urges to go masturbate, and second of all, my boss, he's a very clever guy. I hardly have one-on-one time with him. It's always in front of the other students. I don't want the students to hear me complaining about putting $75 worth of gas in my car and having to come here for 2 hours. I don't want the students to hear that. He never seemed to separate himself from the students, and he's a very clever business guy. So I went out to see, I jinxed myself. Just earlier that week, I had lied about potentially having COVID-19, and guess what? The later that week, when I went to see the lunar eclipse, I actually had COVID-19, and it made me worry when I lie about different excuses to get out of work. I wonder what would happen. I bet throughout history it's happened once or twice. You lie about Grandpa passing away. You lie about a family member being diagnosed with cancer. What else might you lie about? A child getting hurt at school, and then it actually happens. It makes me worry about that. I'll keep the lies a little bit on the safer side now. Maybe just lie about having COVID-19 because I know I can deal with that. Maybe lie about car breaking down because, oh my God, I can always fix a car. It might be inconvenient, but it's not something you'll remember 20 years from now. Right? Oh, I lied about a car breaking down and it actually broke down. Yeah, you'll forget about that. But if you lie about Grandpa passing away, and he actually does, I wonder how. You leave a comment, if you will. Anyway, So I felt better after that. I ended the hunger strike after, not long after the lunar eclipse, and then I quit masturbating again. June 4th was Polish idol Alicia Janazzi's 37th birthday, and I quit masturbating for her because I used to fantasize about her a lot. And that time I went 9 days. But had some, it's the heat of summertime, a lot of activities, and I'm trying to remember why I relapsed. Oh, I remember why I relapsed. I had a friend who had COVID-19. She had it much worse than I did. And I normally wasn't sexually attracted to her. But as I was thinking about her and worried about her, I masturbated. I don't know why. To this day, I still don't. I rarely fantasize about her when I masturbate. So I went 9 days that time, and I redoubled my efforts.